We had one of our researchers' sons come along. Again, I love these young people. They have super sharp eyes. He is looking straight up, 40 feet above his head. He sees this. On the spot, he draws it with his iPad. Seconds later, we have this image. He said it had 5-foot dark wings. It had a head and rump. It was dark, but the body was glowing a beautiful, subtle blue. Again, different things they can do with their bioluminescence. Now, How to Train Your Dragon had just come out. The name of the black dragon in the How to Train Your Dragon show was Night Fury. And they named him Toothless, but it was a Night Fury type of dragon in the movie. So Brian Sass, the boy's father, said that he had seen a dark figure, this shape right here, and it was just shifting. It was in a turn. That's very significant. We tend to see these things in turns. They blend in almost perfectly if they're in a straight trajectory. When they're turning, they're adjusting for what's new behind them. And then they blend in again. So you can see them often in a turn. He saw it shifting this way in a quick turn. Again, some kind of night, they call it Night Fury moment, because that movie showed this black dragon flying through the sky. It was so hard to see, and we could barely see it. He let that catapult go, and he was able to catch it. And that's what the movie's all about. It's kind of a fun cartoon for kids. But hopefully we'll make it truth one day. But then all of a sudden, he sees this. He says the front edge of wings suddenly flashed him so brightly that when he closed his eyes, it was like looking at the sun, and you can still see it. That he saw that V shape of that bright light that it was producing on the front. So here is my computerized rendition. And he said the light from this wing illuminated the membrane on this side and could see that there was dark or thicker structural material in the wings. It did correspond with the fact that the wings had a little point there, kind of bat-like a little bit. The trailing edge of the wings looks quite a bit different, we're finding, from how paleontologists in the fossil record are preparing the fossils for us. They tend to cut them sharply with a knife. You know, my finger here is a wing finger. It goes way out. There's a patagium of skin. It goes from way over there to roughly my leg somewhere, my ankle. And the bottom edge, the trailing edge of my wing, if I were a pterosaur, the paleontologists want to make it nice and smooth. We're finding that that might not be accurate, and they might have a waviness to them as well. Not sure why, but if they're trying to evade bats that they're trying to sneak up on to eat, that use sonar, maybe these waviness cuts down their echolocation. Yes?
Yeah, if it's scalloped, it won't flutter. If it's this way, it will flutter and will slow them down.
He's an aeronautics engineer.
I'm an aircraft mechanic. So say it again.
If it's scalloped, it will flutter like a flag. But if it won't flutter. If it's concave the other way, it will flutter. It'll flap, which will decrease the speed and increase drag.
And what can do the opposite of that?
When you scallop it, it will prevent the flutter, which will provide less drag.
Okay.
This
There you
is a scallop drawing, right? Scalloped. In that
Yeah,
drawing.
the way it's shown there, that would be the most aerodynamically efficient. When you look at the old World War I biplanes, that's the way they were between the ribs on the trailing edge. So they've known that for
A long time. Okay. So this is not the only isolated incidents we have experienced, but it's just a highlight for you.
Thank you.
So I look up and I'm getting ready to have my very first night with our brand new field researcher and professional biologist. It's really good because you're dealing with now some serious caliber. So we're getting a person that can really have great observational skills as well as being excellent with animals. So I explained everything. I pretty much gave her this PowerPoint. And I said, that was relevant up to that point, up to that time. And I said, okay, let's set ourselves up. And I'm looking through the night sky, and I see cirrus clouds, zebra-striped clouds in one small patch in an otherwise completely black sky. I thought, pay attention to that, because if these creatures fly underneath it, they're not going to blend in fast enough. You'll see them. And of course, I turn around and I fluff my pillow because I want to look up without straining my neck. And she goes, oh, Garth, I saw it. I go, of course, tell me all about it. And she draws this picture, and she says it was about a 14-foot wingspan, flew directly underneath the clouds. Says, you're so smart. That's exactly what happened. I said, yeah, I'm smart, all right, as I'm looking away. Remember, Gideon's men that were chosen specifically kept watch. They drank and they watched. They didn't stick their head. Why can't I learn? And this is more true to life. What you saw was all blackened out. Again, actually, this black part is going over a white stripe cloud, and that's why she could see it. She could not see the wingtips. This one is where she sees something out of the corner of her eye, and she kind of sees this, but not directly. It was peripherally as she's swinging her eye around. As she swings more, she sees that. And it keeps changing in form, and she sees that, and she still hasn't quite got her focus on it. And then right here, she's actually focused on it. Okay, I see it. And then she watched it as it morphed and changed shape, and blobbed out, and just blended in and disappeared. So she sees this shape. If it was just a fleeting moment, that's okay. At least she documented it. And note, it has stubby wings. Wings that are not long enough for a creature to fly with this body size. Why? Maybe those wings were blended in, and the rest of the body at this point, at this moment, was not. That's our theory. We're just writing down what we see. We're trying to make sense of it, but we are calling it out. We're not denying it, because it's easy to deny this stuff. Again, she sees this, all this hazy, weird look. Hey, that's what she saw. Things get blended in, things integrate into the background. That's what she saw. But at least the head and this far wing were pretty clear. This is a young adolescent pterosaur that she saw over and over again. It was in a specific area. We call it Area M. It had a nice pond. It was the nursery. It really was. We saw little micro flashes all the time. Things I would dismiss. But because we had three of us, I'd call it out. Oh, I saw it too. Oh, okay. I'm verified. I'm not crazy. I really saw it. It wasn't just a lash in my eye. It wasn't just like, little things I'm seeing. But she watched this creature. She actually named it Moses because, I don't know, girls do that kind of thing. I don't know. Forgive me, I didn't say and it was really cool because she watched it grow up from a crow-sized creature to a raven-sized creature, roughly 1.5 to 2.5 feet over the period of a summer. She watched an outcropping across a canyon. We saw some outcroppings. We thought, hey, if these things have to sleep during the day, those look like pretty good places. We should just at least check. So when sunset hit, we were already in our perches, sitting on a long side of a road that had a good view of 3 different rock outcroppings. I'm looking at the left one. Jane's looking at the middle one. President David Wetzel, he's looking at the far one. I have regular binoculars. She has a night vision. He has a thermal imager. She sees this blue light come out of the cave. And it wasn't hobbling or nothing. It was just like a cat or dog just walking outside the cave, just walking. We get these images of dinosaurs like the mummy or something. No, they're very agile, very, very quick. It's like swallowing water. You just know how to do it. They're very coordinated. And they came out and went up. And then it dimmed out and she lost it. And then it relit up and she saw it on the edge of the, it's not a cliff, but it's just a rock overhang. And then she watched it walk along the edge and then jump off. And then it caught wind, and she saw it start to elevate. So evidently, it's spreading its wings and it's starting to fly. She was in complete denial. She felt really embarrassed because she didn't tell us about it right away. So she at least had the presence of mind to hand me the night vision scope and say, hey, look at my rock outcropping. So I put my binoculars down, I go from mine, I look at hers, and I see this. Flying up from the base, a round, just a gut feeling, it's, I would say a foot, maybe like a foot ball of light, about the size of a basketball. And it was dimly glowing, and because I had the night vision, I couldn't really put a color to it. It looked green. With my naked eye, I don't remember if I could actually see a color. So I assumed it was gray. So I made it gray. And it flew up. Jane, I don't know if she assumed it or saw it with her naked eye, that it was blue. So we're not sure. I'm not sure. She went with blue. And as it flew up, it just blended in as soon as it hit the sky. So it was blended in for the sky, but it was ascending from a terrestrial background. That's why I got this chance to see it. Those unique moments. And thank God she passed it off. And she learned real quick, it's okay, just call it out, don't be embarrassed. And it is something all of us have to overcome as researchers. And then she was, again, for a year, she's doing her research. One night, I have written down there the time, roughly 2012. She's walking, she's done, she's finished for the night. I think it was about 3 in the morning. She is tough. Going in freezing weather, middle of the night, for a year, all by herself. Well, she did have a dog. And then, very interesting, I didn't mention this any other time. The dog could smell it when it flew by. Yeah, he could smell it. And I have not been able to, so I was right next to her, I could not smell this, but because the dog verified it, and Jane said so, Jane said, I could smell it too. It smells like musty hay and musk. It's just a unique smell. And if it comes close, she'll smell it. Interesting. Well, who knows? Just throwing that out there. But she sees this. First of all, she sees a flash near a tree. Near the live tree, she sees a flash. There's a dead log laying next to it. And she gets her night vision. She puts her equipment down that she's hauling off to her car. And she picks up and lights up the night vision, starts looking around. And she sees that on the log. She said, what am I looking at? She said the bottom of this shape looked like crow's feathers reflecting moonlight. It was giving off light, and she literally thought it was moonlight reflection. That's how subtle, and by the way, beautiful it is. So she had a gut feeling that this might be one of the creatures she's looking for. So she starts talking to it like she would in a calming voice, in the zoos or in rehabilitation centers, calming voice to one of the animals she's working with. And it turns around. And as it turns around, it drops one of its tips. It just either disappears, blends in, or moves out of the way, but it happened real quick, just before it moved its head, because it would have collided with it. And she saw this thing slowly turn its head and reveal that it had a head crest and a beak, and you could still see one tip of a wing. So the 3 tips were 2 wings and a head crest. And she watched it for a moment, about 5 minutes. And then something flew by it, evidently, because it kept looking around like a crow, relaxing, and maybe a female, and then the male's trying to get her attention, you know? You ever seen that? It's a beautiful display, courtship. Maybe something was going on, and they're having some social interaction because it was distracted by what was ever flying. That's an assumption. But it got distracted by something, and then it flew away. And again, after 5 minutes. When it flew away, it spread out wings. You could tell we're there, but you could only see so far out on them. The rest was blended in. And as it flew away, the the whole body blended in pretty close after that.
Take any object and it's moving, the further out it gets, it's got a blur because your vision will not see that. And it'll even look blunted because it's moving faster on the tip. Just like if you take a pen.
Right,
Well,
right.
we know that's not bending, but it looks like rubber. So we don't always see what we think we see.
Yes.
And it can just blend in with the elements,
Yeah.
the wingtips. So
Yeah.
the wingtips are there, they just can't, you just can't see them always.
Right, right, right. And also just the speed can also
Yeah.
cause that blurriness. So yeah, in this case, they were blurred even hardly moving, but they were starting to spread out and she lost it shortly after it took off. So